expensive cookware actually worth it? Today I reveal to you the brutal truth. To find out, I'm testing 5 very different frying pans, each at different price points and made with different surface technologies. And before anyone asks, this video is not sponsored, so the results will be based purely on how these pans actually perform. The most expensive pan here is the Hestan Nanobond, and it is also the newest pan in my kitchen. Honestly, it is the pan that inspired this entire video, and after using it, I can clearly say that it is the best pan I own. But the real question is this: can the cheaper pans come close enough that paying the premium for the Hestan becomes completely unnecessary? So with the Hestan, you are getting a stainless steel pan with a molecular titanium surface that is designed to be more durable, scratch resistant, and more non-stick. It has flush rivets, so it is harder for food and grime to get trapped. It has an ergonomic handle that makes a heavier pan such as this easier to hold. The handle also has this inward groove which gives my thumb a natural place to rest and makes holding the pan feel more secure. The Hestan also heats up quickly and evenly, and it reacts quickly to temperature changes, which makes it predictable and easy to control. When frying an egg, the egg does not stick instantly when it hits the pan. This gives a short window to shape the whites into a cleaner circle to get a nicer looking egg. The bottom of the egg fries quickly, which means I can get crisp whites while the yolk stays runny. And once the egg has fried, it releases beautifully and glides across the surface with almost no effort. The bottom has fried evenly, apart from a few air bubbles, and the crispiness is not just visible, you can hear it through the mic. When testing with chicken breast, I use slightly more oil, and this is where the Hestan Nanobond's titanium surface really shines. You can see that there is quite a lot of time to do major adjustments on your food initially before any sticking starts to happen. When I flip the chicken over, you can see it has developed a really nice even browning on the surface, and after I take it out of the pan, you can clearly see the fond left behind, which is easily deglazed into a good rich sauce. And once again, the crispiness is not just visible. You can clearly hear the crispiness that has developed on the surface of the chicken breast. This is the benchmark for the test. The other pans will probably not beat the Hestan, but we are trying to see if they can get close to its level. One last thing about the Hestan Nanobond is that it is super easy to clean. I only needed to use a soft sponge when cleaning the pan. The first competitor is this pan from Superbee, an underrated Singaporean brand. And this is the pan I've been using in most of my videos, and it's been through years of abuse. Priced at just $80 compared to the Hestan's $545 price tag. It is fully hard anodized with no coating, so it acts similar to a stainless steel pan. This pan does not have flush rivets, and after years of use, you can clearly see burnt bits stuck around the rivets, which makes this area much harder to clean. The Superbee pan does have a fatter handle, and while it isn't as ergonomic, it is very comfortable to hold. The pan is also very light, making handling this for long hours less tiring compared to the Hestan Nanobond. The pan heated up nearly as fast as the Hestan did, and when I fried an egg, same like the Hestan, when the egg first hits the pan, there is a brief moment where I can shape the egg whites before anything starts to stick. Compared to the Hestan, the bottom of the egg did not fry quite as evenly. It is also noticeably less crispy than the egg fried on the Hestan Nanobond. When frying the chicken breast, this pan also did not produce quite as strong a result as the Hestan. The browning was less intense, and it did not leave behind as much fond in the pan. However, once again, the chicken was still relatively crispy, so it was still a decent result. This pan was also harder to clean. A soft sponge was not enough to remove everything, so I had to use a coarser pad to clean it properly. Overall though, the Super B gets to about 80% of the Hestan's cooking capability at roughly 14% of the price. So the brutal truth is this: expensive cookware can be better, but better does not always mean better value. Past a certain price point, you are paying for refinement, durability, design, convenience, and small performance gains that only seasoned critics and chefs will truly appreciate. The next pan is this HappyCall Graphene pan, and honestly this one is a little confusing to describe because HappyCall markets it as an 11-layer pan using graphene, aluminium, titanium, stainless steel, and silica. One thing I like about this pan is its convenience, as it can split into two usable pans. Priced at $150 and made in Korea, this pan has something I've never seen before in any other pan, which is the use of graphene. So it's basically two pans in one, and the handle isn't ergonomic, but it does have a rounded bottom side which makes it comfortable enough to hold. It isn't as comfortable as the Super B or the Hestan. Because this is basically a non-stick pan, it comes with no surprise that you can easily reposition the food and move it around during cooking. But I'm honestly surprised at how well it fried the egg. This result is pretty close to the Hestan Nanobond, as it is evenly fried and crispy. It fried the egg more evenly than the Super B did. The chicken breast test is where this pan started to struggle. Compared to the Hestan Nanobond, the sear was noticeably weaker and it even lost to the Super B pan. You can see patches of pale white areas on the surface, which means the browning was less even. There was also no fond left behind, as this is a non-stick pan, so that is a major downside. This pan was really easy to clean as well. To be honest, I can only recommend this pan for people who are cooking at home and want an extremely convenient and easy to use pan that provides much better cooking capabilities than the average non-stick pan. The fourth pan we are looking at is this ceramic coated non-stick pan from KitchenAid. I borrowed this from someone specifically for this review because I wanted to include a pan that is closer to what most households actually use. Priced at $70, it does not have flush rivets, but surprisingly, like the Hestan Nanobond, it does have an ergonomic handle that is curved and also an inward groove to rest the thumb, which is surprising to see at this price point. The cooking performance was utterly horrific. The underside of the egg didn't brown much, and this pan failed the chicken breast test terribly too. The red patches on the underside is my seasoning and not any browning. This rubbish pan costs $10 less than the Super B, yet it performs so much worse, which goes to show how much performance you are getting from the Super B for such a low price. Priced at $150, the final pan we will look at is this serving pan from a German brand called Silit. It's another pan that I've borrowed just for this video. Priced between $150 to $180, it has a ceramic enamel-like surface fused over a steel core. This pan does have a lot of visible scratches, but I need to be fair here. This is a borrowed pan, so I do not know exactly how it was used over the years. But from how it looks, I think it isn't as durable as what Silit claims. The handle on this pan is quite interesting, as it uses some kind of pin that is attached into the pan, but it does not protrude into the cooking surface. So the cooking surface is completely smooth. I think this may be the heaviest pan I've ever held. It is very heavy for a pan. This pan has one major downside. For some reason, it is even stickier than traditional stainless steel. Even with a generous amount of oil, the egg stuck as soon as it hit the pan. Unlike the Hestan and the Super B, there was no short window where I could shape the whites before the egg started sticking to the pan. Even after the underside of the egg had browned enough, parts of it was still stuck to the pan. So the issue was not just that I moved it too early, the surface itself seemed to grip onto food much more aggressively than the other pans. To be fair, it did fry the egg very evenly. The browning across the bottom was consistent. although the color was noticeably darker than the Hestan Nanobond, so the heat distribution seems good, but the food release was the major problem. When I took the pan off the stove and let it rest, you can see that the oil had darkened exactly where the egg was frying. It almost looks like the oil scorched around the egg, which may explain why the color was darker and why the surface felt so sticky. Because of this, I decided not to continue with the chicken breast test and instead go straight to the washing. Cleaning this was the most difficult. A soft sponge was not enough, and I had to apply quite a bit of pressure with a coarser cleaning pad before the residue finally came off. So ironically, the second cheapest pan I tested was the closest performer to the Hestan Nanobond. The lesson here is that good materials matter more than price. The Super B outperformed more expensive pans because hard anodized aluminum is generally effective for cooking. But the Hestan still stayed ahead because premium materials and better design do make a difference. But the price is just not always justifiable for everyone.